You've heard about being raised in a psychosomatic dysfunctional family system that leads to consequences of severe fucked upness in lack of individuality, right? Lack of healthy boundaries, just lack of being your own autonomous self, right? But have we talked a lot about what it means to dive into the self and to actually learn the self? The reality of the situation is that every individual gets fucked up, right? Every individual comes out of childhood with some level of trauma, right? But how fucking cool is it to actually take the time to heal? How cool is it to take the time to be by yourself, to actually get space to yourself where you're not being crowded by a bunch of fucking judgment and a bunch of fucking boundary violations, where you're actually learning about the intersubjective space that occurs between people and realizing that you don't just have to settle for drama and gossip and all of this bullshit that until you actually awaken and become self-aware, you might not even realize that this is the shit that you've been dealing with your entire life. How fucking cool is it to actually heal? How fucking cool is it to actually awaken from all of the pressure that has been laid upon you by generations and generations just overlapping each other, right? How fucking cool is it to heal intergenerational patterns and to actually live differently, right? Have you ever found yourself in a conversation with somebody where the main theme has just been gossip, drama, talking about other people, talking about a bunch of bullshit that you're actually not interested in, but because maybe you were terrified of losing somebody or being left, you just settled for the nonsense fabric of the entire dynamic, right? You don't want the drama, you don't want the gossip, you want to be deeply connected to people, right? And drama and gossip are not being deeply connected to people. That is pseudo intimacy right there. Enmeshment is pseudo intimacy right there. How many times have you actually found yourself in a dynamic with somebody where, like, you're just standing there, you're listening to them, and you're being like, wow, I'm appeasing right now. I don't like any of this, but I'm just going to sit here and tolerate it because yeah, I have these abandonment wounds and I'm terrified of you leaving me if I don't just sit here and listen to you talk about some bullshit that I genuinely do not give a fuck about. How many times have you found yourself in a situation like that, right? So we've heard about the psychosomatic dynamics of dysfunctional families and individuals who end up getting exceedingly fucked up by the trauma, right? We've heard about people staying in relationships because they're terrified of the other person leaving, right? Even though the relationship is exceedingly dysfunctional and fucked up and abusive and it completely lacks autonomy, the person can't really even be themselves. Do they even really know who they are? They're consistently walking on eggshells. Who actually wants that dynamic, right? We've talked a lot about all these different dynamics of, what leads to basically codependency and enmeshment. And I'm not going to stop talking about this stuff. I'm just on fucking fire right now and I'm excited to talk about this stuff. And I enjoy the contrast. I appreciate the contrast between the fucked upness and also the opposite side, which is like coming out on the other side and being like, holy fucking shit. And then you start to realize that you don't even want to listen to people talk about all this stuff that you've been listening to them talk about because now you realize that all you've been doing is been, repeating patterns compulsively from childhood, right? And you start to open your eyes and you start to think to yourself, there's got to be more to relationships than all of that. Oh, there is. There absolutely is. And it only gets better from that point of which you start to open your eyes and realize I don't want that anymore. I don't. I don't want to sit here and listen to people talk about the fucking Kardashians and I mean it's just an example, the Joneses, whoever the fuck it is, right? The intersubjective space between two people and the capabilities, the capacities, what is possible for two people to connect on, how you can grow with somebody. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if it's a platonic friend or a romantic partner. It really doesn't matter. What matters is the potentiality, right? The fascinating thing to me, as I've looked at my relationships throughout my entire life, and as I have seen for what it is, the lack of depth scares the ever living shit out of me. The capacity, even in a boundaried scenario, the capacity that people have to go deep with each other, is absolutely out of this fucking world, right? You could probably spend an entire lifetime going really fucking deep with an individual and still have so much more to go. Like just have like you could do it for lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes. Intimacy is a fucking beautiful thing. Feeling safe with another individual is a fucking beautiful thing. Like when I say safe, I mean fucking safe. Feeling connected to an individual is just glorious. It's absolutely lovely. Feeling like you don't have to walk on eggshells, feeling like you don't have to lie because they just accept you for who you are. I can imagine that the people that watch these videos, and I'm grateful for you, by the way, the people that watch these videos have probably experienced severely fucked up dynamics in relationships, which is, of course, why you're here. You've experienced the gaslighting. You've experienced the walking on eggshells. You've experienced all of that stuff, right? You've experienced the enmeshment. You've experienced the lack of individuality and lack of autonomy. It fucking sucks. It really does. It sucks to over and over and over again through repetition compulsion find yourself in the same fucking dynamics, right? You might wake up and you might be like, how the fuck am I here again? What the fuck, right? At least you're waking up. At least you're asking yourself, why am I here again? Rather than being like, well, this is just the way that relationship. No, no, no. Fuck what you heard. Fuck what your parents taught you. Fuck what society teaches you. Fuck these beliefs and these ideas of normality. None of this shit is normal or healthy. It's not. There's absolutely nothing normal about being in a room with people, listening to them talk about other people. There's nothing normal about that. Nothing. Or healthy. Especially when it's negative and when people are talking shit about each other. There's nothing fucking normal about that. It's fucked up. It's unhealthy. You don't talk about people when they're not present. You know, it's disgusting. It's not good or bad or right or I mean, in terms of like morality and everything, it's just it's I would say that it's not right, but it's just not healthy, right? So now, as we heal, we're doing the deep diving work of like looking at ourselves and being like, holy fucking shit, who the fuck am I? What have I been doing my entire life? I'm fucking repeating patterns of comfort and familiarity, and all I have to do is choose something fucking different. Wow. How fucking wild is that? Right? So, of course, that requires stepping into the unknown and doing things differently, which can be challenging for anybody, of course. Absolutely. I understand it. But you've made it this far and you're awakening and you're starting to see, yeah, I don't want to sit around and listen to people talk about dumb fucking shit. Like, I've been realizing lately, I'm just not interested. And it's so hard because like it's somewhat of like an inner conflict because there's a part of me that is like dying and dissolving that is so used to being plugged into chaos and drama and gossip and whatever the fuck the news has to silver spoon feed to everyone, right? Let me fuck up your nervous system here. Go into fucking shock. No. Thanks for teaching me how to be attracted to unhealthy nervous system, you fuckfaces. Seriously. I don't want that anymore. I don't. And the coolest thing about it is that I know that I'm healing because my baseline is peace and calmness. And whenever I find somebody that has a dysregulated nervous system, I do the best that I can to set the boundary and like not take on their energy, but I fucking feel it. I feel the fucking difference. This is healing. This is the reality of healing. And believe me when I say it, and no names by the way, I have been in relationships both platonic and romantic with exceedingly fucked up people, right? Dysregulated nervous systems are a fucking thing. They're a real fucking thing. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of us have experienced that, whether it's platonic, romantic, workplace. Maybe you worked under a manager, this, that, and the other, right? But yeah, I've talked a lot about psychosomatic dysfunctional family dynamics and everything. Um, It's just so cool to be able to see a contrast of what healing looks like, right? And when you start to awaken and you're like, oh, wow, there is far more to all of this than I previously believed. Even though everyone has tried to gaslight me into getting me to believe that there's fucking not, and that this is all that there is, and you're probably not going to find anybody else out there. Yeah, bull fucking shit. I'm not going to find anybody else out there. Motherfuckers, there's an entire world of, I don't know, what is it, 8+ billion people at this point? I mean, I'll give you credit for fucking trying to keep me trapped inside of your narcissistic, fucked up fantasy world, but you're fucking wrong. That's just the reality of it. You're fucking wrong. Anybody that tries to get you to believe that there's scarcity out there, specifically in terms of like relationships, whether platonic or romantic, run the other fucking way as fast as you fucking can. Yeah, they're a red flag.